Howdy champs, my name is Mohit and people. Today we'll talk about CSS shorthand once again. Welcome to part 2. Right. This time I'll not be using CodePen, instead I'll be using Dreamweaver CS6. People notice that I'm actually using doctype HTML5. Right. We have some internal style out here, a class called test. We don't have any declarations ready yet, and we have a div, the only div, which is a class of test inside the opening and the closing body tag. So let's start. I made a small mistake, people. I talked about border and I said border colon rich is the same as 3px rich black. In fact, it's not the same as 3px rich black. It's quite similar to 3px rich white instead. Let's talk about that first. Let's start with the declarations for the class test. I'm going to make the correction now. So let's start off with the width and height first. So width, let's say of 300 px, a height of let's say a 200 px. Right, and then I'd said the border rich is the same as 3px rich black. No, it's the same as 3px rich. That's fine. You can see the ridge. Ridge is somewhat like a 3D effect. It's quite similar to it defaults to near about the color. It's quite close to the 3px rich white, but it's not quite white. You see, but yeah, if you don't specify the thickness, it's always 3px. These two are just the same. This is quite similar to white. There's a small difference, but it's not quite white, and it's definitely not black as I had actually mentioned in the last part. It's not the same, right? See, if this was not rich, if this was let's say dotted, specifying black or not wouldn't really matter. Specifying 3px or not wouldn't really matter. If this was dashed, you don't need to actually specify the color black. If this was solid, right, you don't need to specify. This was double, right, you don't need to specify the color black. But if it's rich, this depends, this definitely depends on the color. So if I say green out here, and let's go with, so you can, let's go with a thicker thickness. Now you can see, so this rich actually depends quite clearly on the color that you specified. It's not the same as black. See, all 3D types, the border types, all the 3D types actually depend on the color. This is important, people. Whether it's rich, whether it's inset, or whether it's outset, whether it's groove. These are all 3D borders, and they actually spelling mistake. They actually they depend on the color, and not specifying the color is not the same as black, as we can quite clearly see out here. Alright, so let's jump back to solid and let's move ahead. Let's talk about the next shorthand property, and this time I'm going to talk about outline. Outline means a border, outside border, people, and so written quite the same way like we write the border property. So let's say 2px dashed red. So it works absolutely the same way as we had talked about border, except that it's a border, outside border. So it's a dual border, right? And so this is the shorthand. Instead of saying outline type, outline thickness, outline color, I've just combined and put it into one shorthand property outline. Right. Now the next shorthand property that I'm going to talk about is background, and it combines a lot of properties together, clubs them all together. Outline, you see the background color, background image, background repeat, background position, and background attachment. It's all clubbed into one shorthand property called background. So let's have a look. So let's start with the background color. Let's say a very mild color, right? Let's see the changes, and then let's say the background image. So that's URL. Bring the URL up. Okay, and they always repeat by default. So next property is background repeat, so we'll set it to no repeat. Right, so you can actually see it doesn't repeat anymore. Then the background position, the default is 0px 0px or top left, which is the same as left top, or we can even specify it in terms of percentage. Let's say 15%, 20%. So along the x and the y axis, that is the shift people. And if you don't specify the second value, it's the same as saying 50%. I can even go something like a 15px. Right, and since I've not specified the second value for the y-axis, it defaults to 50%. It's the same thing, people. Right, and next up, people, we have the background attachment. It has two values. It decides whether the background will scroll or not when you scroll, if there are scrollers available. So we have scroll and fixed, and the default is scroll. Right. So if you don't specify the background position, it defaults to 0px 0px, 0% 0%, which is top left, people. Top left is the same as left top, by the way. Right. So you see how how we form the background shorten property. Again, the order is not important. Let me repeat that, not important, people. You can be a little here and there. It's okay. You can specify the background color after the background image, and you'll still be fine. Let me show that to you. You'll still be fine. Yes, you can. You cannot be very particular about the order, as you have to be very particular about the order when you're actually working with the font shorten property. Okay, let's remove the background property altogether now that we have actually learned it, and let's understand some of the shorten properties like padding and margin. They work exactly the same way, whether it's margin or padding. Margin creates a cushion outside and padding inside the division. Alright, now let's bring in an image first. So let's insert image. Let's get an image inside. Let's hit this image. Alrighty. Actually, this should be inside the division. Beg your pardon. Right, out here. Exactly, fits the. I'm in the live view, by the way. Exactly fits the division, because the size of the image and the division are just the same. Alright. Now I'm going to talk about padding shorten first. So padding. This is the shortest way of actually specifying your padding. Right. Have a look at the image out here. You see there is 10 px of padding all around, basically creating a cushion inside, which is the same as saying 10 px top, 10 px right. I'm going clockwise, people. 10 px bottom and 10 px bottom. Right. So you can just simply say 10 px, 10 px, 10 px, 10 px each. Alright. Now what this means, if I just specify two values, basically this means 10 px top and bottom, 10 px left and right. If I just change this to 100, let's see the change. Right, see the change out here, people. Let me be in the design view. That basically means 10 px top and bottom, 100 px left and right. Let me be in the split view again. Right, and if you mention three values, let's go with the 20 px this time. Right, let me be in the design area. Let me come with the live view, go back in again. Let me go to the split view. 10 px, 100 px, 20 px. Let me tell you what this means. Now let's go to the design area. So you see it means 10 px at the top, 20 px at the bottom, and 100 px on the left and the right hand side. Right, so left, this is the top, this is left and right, and this is the bottom. So you see there are three different ways in which you can actually use the padding. This is this is the shortest way. Basically means 10 px all around. Margin works just the same, except that it creates a cushion outside, not inside. Right, so these were certain shorthand properties that I wanted to tell you about. I hope you found this information useful. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you'll thumb the video up. I hope you'll subscribe if you already haven't, and I also will hope that you'll keep coming back for more and more tutorials from me. And I'll also hope and wish you peace. You have a good day. Bye bye.